Good morning, Colts fans. Let's talk a little bit about the Colts matchup this weekend with the Jaguars over in London. It's only week 4, but this is a pretty significant matchup between the Colts and the Jaguars. The entire division faces each other this week, and since it's so young in the season, everyone's pretty close together. While at 1-2, the Colts are just a game behind the division-leading Texans, who are 2-1. And they just lost their best player in J.J. Watt for the whole year, so that's pretty big for them. They face off against Tennessee. With a win against the Jaguars, the Colts would do their part to take a share of the division lead by week's end. With Watt being out for the year, if the Colts can jump on a share of that lead already, that would be huge for them. Looking into specifically Colts versus Jaguars. The Jaguars were supposed to have this great offense so far this season. After all, last year they were pretty awesome with their young core group of guys. That young group should have been developing more this year, but quarterback Blake Bortles is still kind of having some mental hurdles, and it's kind of led to a less productive offense, and as a byproduct, kind of the 0-3 start that they're in. He's not very technically sound. He throws off balance a lot, throws off of his back foot. Kind of has a little bit of gunslinger to him. So with the Colts having a pretty healthy secondary now with Vontae Davis, Antonio Cromartie, Patrick Robinson, and Mike Adams, they should be able to come up with at least one interception. And watching Bortles over his career, as well as watching his film on the first few games of this season, he seems to really like, and he's most dangerous throwing into the middle field on moderate to deep slants and crosses in the middle of the field. And it's really only after he has to make one or two reads. So the Colts safeties really need to be prepared literally for what's going to be ahead of them on the field. Mike Adams, Clayton Gathers, and TJ Green should have a pretty decent impact on this game. And if the Colts defense is going to do well against this Jaguars offense, I think those three, primarily Adams and Gathers, will need to have a good performance. In the past, the Colts have struggled with the Allen brothers, Allen Robinson and Allen Hurns, particularly Hurns. He scored in every game he's played against the Colts except for one. So if you assume Vontae Davis is going to be on Allen Robinson, as you know, the number one cornerback, number one receiver matchup, then that really puts pressure on Cromartie and Robinson to kind of keep Hurns in check. The Colts do potentially get a slight break if Jaguars tight end Julius Thomas cannot go. I believe he's got an elbow injury and is questionable. So that'll really take a burden off of the Colts linebackers who have struggled in coverage so far this year. So if they don't have a really athletic tight end to cover, then that's a big break for them. Mercedes Lewis isn't quite as dangerous as Thomas is. For the Colts offense, I think they really could be able to come at the Jaguars with a balanced attack. Frank Gore at running back. Some people say Jacksonville is kind of hard to run against, but I haven't seen it so far this year. I think in their past games, they've shown some opportunity to give up some big plays on the ground, and the Colts are, they can do that, led by Gore and Turbin and Josh Ferguson. If they can get the run established a little bit early, then they can set up play action, and that'll be huge because the Jaguars safeties really have a knack to, have some abysmal play. And so if the Colts can set up play action, then they definitely have the tools to beat the Jaguars downfield with T.Y. Hilton, Philip Dorsett, and Chester Rogers. On top of that, the Jaguars kind of struggle to cover tight ends, and the Colts tight ends have been pretty outstanding this year, Dwayne Allen and Jack Doyle. It's particularly Paul Posluszny on the Jaguars, and so if they keep him in there and don't start phasing in Miles Jack, then the Colts could really have an advantage there because their tight ends have been hot this season. There's no reason to think why they wouldn't just keep that going. The cornerback matchups for the Jaguars against the Colts receivers will also be interesting to watch. Rookie Jalen Ramsey, going from week 1 all the way up until last week, they've really been feeding him more and more responsibility. He worked primarily in the slot in week 1 against the Packers, but now he's become a boundary cornerback. So he's either going to get T.Y. Hilton or Philip Dorsett. He's stayed primarily lined up on the right side of the defense. So you don't know if he's going to shadow Hilton or stay there, but that'll be really interesting because this will be a huge matchup for him, but he has also been able to answer the call so far. On the opposite side of the field, Devon House and Prince Amukamara, they can really give up plays against small, fast guys like Hilton and Philip Dorsett. So Dorsett really hasn't lived up to a first-round billing quite yet. Not all his fault, but this could be a big game for him if they want it to be. And I mean, that's pretty much some things the Colts can take advantage of against the Jaguars this week. It should be a very interesting game. I don't expect it to be a blowout either way. It was 51-16 advantage Jaguars late last year. I don't see that happening in the least. The Colts are healthy. They have their franchise quarterback back in action. So that is some things to watch this Sunday as the Colts take on the Jaguars in London. Thanks for watching.